Mr. Azam. He is Deputy Minister for Mining, Industry and Geology. And then we have Mr. Abdullah. He's the first Deputy to the General Director of the Agency of Strategic Reforms under the President of the Republic. And then we have Gerard Hart, is the General Director at Into Metals Explorer. And then we have Natalia Lacosa, is the Head of Natural Resources at the EBRD. Nicola Flotte, he's the Vice President Exploration at Orano Group. Peter Flanagan with FLS Smith is the Senior Vice President. And then we have Emre, General Director of ESAN, SABC. Yes, so this seems to be the graduate system towards the end of the day, so we shall try and keep it as brief and as focused as possible, so you'll have to bear with us. Again, sorry for the late start. We'll start with you, Honorable Minister. This investment conference has been a landmark for the government of Uzbekistan. There is a very ambitious FDI program that has been announced by the government. And so your ministry is one of those that is very key at addressing this. So can you just give us very briefly on your side as government in the Ministry of Mining, what are your plans to be able to achieve these ambitious goals?
Thank you very much. Thank you for all our partners, friends, to attend this session. Some of our partners already said why this session is in second day, at the last of the second day. It is very interesting. Why it's in second day? It should be before. I believe the last standing is very important, because this session, mining and geology, is really important, because from the childhood, we all want to dig and find the treasure in the earth. Back to our functions, yes, ministry has put ahead a long-term strategy of developing rapidly. It concerns about the geological exploration for precious, non-ferrous, and rare metals. I have a 5-year program that would increase our reserves in overall for 150%. It's not easy task, taking into account that the exploration is very costly and it's not always positive. At the same time, we are developing this kind of program with our partners, with our investor partners over the investment projects, so that we could achieve this kind of goals together. Of course, for this we need the strong legislation. That's why, together with our partners, together with EBRD, we prepared a new subsoil law. We've been talking about this subsoil law for over 2 years, but still we're almost there, because we prepared very lovely, brand new, under international best practice law, which is submitted to the parliament already, and it gathers in itself the best practices, the best norms that also would help for all of us to work very certainly and comfortable in mining business. Concerning the next promising area, I would like to highlight the critical raw minerals initiatives, very popular for the last years, important in getting all this supply chain for all technological, increased technological growth. We have in our country that kind of minerals, lithium, graphite, copper, magnesium, rare metals, rare earth elements. And we've done great job in terms of exploration under international standards, JORC standards. We have MRE reports, mineral resource estimation, PFS for these projects. We're binding it with infrastructure so that it could be very viable. And we're ready to propose all these projects to our partners so that we can join our efforts and do really viable and great projects. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. So moving on to Sabdullah.
Thank you very much for all participants to joining this session. Yes, as Azam Khoja have mentioned, that the major activity will be around subsoil law this year, because this law we are considering as like a civil code in which certain kind of license or permissions to come into the country or invest into some projects. But talking about the mining sector itself, we should talk about the figures as well. Amount of investments done by the both government and private sector is about 1 billion per year. Accumulated investment amounts is 11 billion in this sector, mining. But those figures mostly went to the really mining industry, talking about a copper production and the gold production, which is basically Almalık mining and Navai mining projects, right? And we are intended to increase the copper production up to 500,000 per year, and the gold production would be doubled as well. You know the best figures we were publishing so far. But now, as Azam Khoja mentioned, we want to shift to the critical minerals as such, because this is the industry where we would love to attract more investors, because the critical minerals is an issue for worldwide, and new materials, new technologies, they're always challenging occurring the new materials which can be used. And this is why critical minerals is becoming very critical issue for each kind of development. And as we have in country 32 already deposits with critical minerals, already 32, and the activity ongoing. Activity is ongoing, and I hope that by the end of the year we'll have more things to discuss with you. But coming back to the subsoil law, although it's passed to the parliament, we have internal discussions with the Ministry of Geology and Mining on following issues. How the ministry is considering itself, whether it's a kind of regulatory body which will be just a watchdog in the industry, or somebody will be helping the investors to come in and to help attract the investors, or someone is in trouble to guide him. That is the critical things we have to think about it. And then, depending on that, we have to change the substance of the law. The second issue is, in my opinion, where we have small disagreements, that what is the product itself to be shown in the market? How we will formulate this product, how the regulator is seeing should be different stages of that product with different standards. They have to say, this product has to apply these kind of standards. This product has to apply has to come under those standards. So this is the kind of job we have to do together with the Ministry of Mining and Geology. And also, the small discussion goes when I say, what are the products? We want that those products of the major products should be mentioned within the law. If not, then a day will come, some investors will be digging the earth, and they'll say, this is not prescribed in the law on subsoil law, then I can do it on my own. I don't need any permission, I cannot do. Like it had happened with the minerals is the Chirchik Delta or Sirdarya Delta. You know that perfectly. So in our opinion, the product, whatever it is, should be prescribed in the law, and there should be kind of map to investors what doors they have to come, or it should be, again, approach kind of one door, one window. Everything will be done by the government. So these kind of minor issues we want to discuss within the subsoil law. And again, as an agency for strategic reforms, we are very keen to work with the Ministry of Mining and Geology. And of course, in the near future, you will not recognize the activity of that ministry. And also we have to bear in mind that as a regulator, they had been established a couple of years ago. So things are ongoing and they keep changing. And I hope that this ministry is going to be one of the key ministries in our country and which will be adding more and more product into our GDP. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So moving on from the public sector, you've heard, and the framework is right. The laws and regulations are being put in place. Just a quick question for you, Gerard. Why Uzbekistan, right? And are there any issues that you've seen, any challenges that you'd like to communicate to the minister and Mr. Abdullah here?
Yes, thank you. I'm very pleased to be here
I think you need to move the
provide
mic.
some
Can you move the
view
mic?
from the private sector. Of course, sorry, is it working?
Yeah, that's better.
So we start looking at different investment in Central Asia. There was about 9 months ago. What do we really find here beyond the natural resource that everybody knows? You know, we know what is the gold production in Uzbekistan and the copper, but we found support, and from the ministry, we found a team who want to succeed. You know, we had a roundtable with our business development manager here, and what we found partners and friends here fighting for us against the Ministry of Finance to provide support to the geology. That was a fantastic sign, because we find that geology and finance inside the same country can fight for the both interests. And that's a sign of good behavior for the business and going forwards. You know, it's not something which is already controlled. That was a key for us. We found a lot of skills as well. I think there was a fantastic base that we find with the ministry, but also with the population here. The language, everybody can speak English, the delivery of education, oversee of the people we've been deal with was fantastic. So we found that extremely beneficial for us to invest. We also like the strategic position of the country. We believe Uzbekistan has a lot to offer in the region. You know, they have signed a number of agreements with other European countries or their neighbors. This could be a fantastic platform to expand in Central Asia as well. That was the key aspect that we found very attractive towards Uzbekistan. The infrastructure, you know, into metal are expanding in numerous of countries, and we were very pleased to see the development towards the infrastructures. That was a key aspects as well. Now, on things to improve, I think we're going in the right direction. What we found difficult for us was to understand what is available in the country in terms of properties, who hold what. So I was often suggested to the ministry to have a cadastral portal that a lot of countries has. One has been the most successful has been Chile, who really have started sharing for free a huge amount of information, including drilling, airborne geophysics, geochem data. But most important is who's doing what and where, which permit can be acquired. That's a little bit unclear, and I think that's refrained a lot the investors because it requires a little bit of investigation with the ministry to what we can invest in and where we should invest. So that's certainly something that the government should work on to attract more investors. The key focus also, I think, it will be certainly improve the administration side, the complexity of understanding a little bit how things works behind the scene. It's certainly something that we would definitely enjoy understanding a little bit more. But overall, we think this is a fantastic opportunity for us, and we are very pleased to be here. And just that beyond our group, the group that Intumetal belongs to is also investing in other domains to show you that our funder is very convinced that this is the right place to invest. So we'll be pleased to.
Thank you very much, Gerard. That's a positive feedback from an investor who is already in the sector. So over to you, Natalia. The minister did point out that you were very instrumental in supporting in some of the reforms that took place. And he has also mentioned that he's looking forward to partnering with you and other partners to be able to develop this and invest in the sector. So what plans do you have, and what lessons are you bringing from elsewhere to support this initiative?
Sorry, that was towards me?
No, that was to Natalia. No, sorry. I just moved on to Natalia.
Thank you. There are several ways that EBRD supports mining sector in our countries of operations. First of all, it's access to finance. We provide financing to mining companies, including junior mining companies, and the product range is quite full, so we can provide corporate loans, project finance, and also invest in capital markets instruments. And we also provide equity financing, the whole range, as exotic as it can. So it does help companies to advance their exploration programs and also brings mines into production. But what is even more important, we accompany it quite often with technical cooperation and capacity building, as well as providing a sector support, policy support to the sector. So on the technical cooperation front, we work with the companies to identify their strategic priorities and support them in those, and those range from energy efficiency, waste management, reducing carbon footprint. We also support the companies to have better gender balance and also make the operations more inclusive. And a very important part is environmental and social standards. Being the international financial institution, we encourage and we require all the projects that we finance to adhere to best international principles of environmental management, labor rights, and community engagement. Very important. But we also help them. And in the junior mining space, we appreciate that there is no maybe expertise, or the project is at the stage where this expertise has not been developed, and we guide and support them. But even if we provide early stage equity financing for exploration drilling or the studies that do not have big environmental impact, we require those companies later on, when they progress, to develop their environmental and social impact assessments in accordance with the best industry practice, disclose them publicly, consult with the communities and stakeholders. This is our added value. And the policy support was mentioned today, development of strategy documents and policy documents that we have successfully done together with the ministry and the agency and other bodies in Uzbekistan, and also support in improving the mining legislation. And we sincerely hope that all the work that we jointly invested with the Uzbek authorities will result in adopting of the new mining law very soon and very close to the original draft. It's very important. And I think there was a reference to access to data. And one of the areas which also believe extremely important is making access to the data very straightforward, digitalize the data, and we worked in Mongolia and in Uzbekistan to make sure that geological data is digitalized. Very important because it's perishable, and also is converted into online database that can be made accessible to investors irrespectively how far away they are, because that reduces the market entry risks And important to know this because, mining is a global industry. Investors are not necessarily affected to a particular geography. They go where they can understand not only where their good resources are, but where they can understand the processes, where they can find a legislative environment to be stable, clear, transparent. And maybe one final word on the junior mining space. It's quite shocking to see that when you look at the data from Refinitiv that analyzed 3,000 investments by private equity funds and venture capital funds in the last 10 years, that only 1% of investments went into the countries where EBRD operates, which means even less so into Central Asia and of course Uzbekistan. So it's imperative for international financial institutions and EBRD in particular to support junior mining companies because inherently it's a riskier business, they don't have track record, it's more difficult for them to raise financing in the capital markets, and it's much longer lead time to returns and to project development. So we as EBRD have been therefore developing risk-sharing products and guarantee products that would allow us to de-risk from financial perspective and also ESG perspective earlier stage development. We've also started approaching investment into junior miners on a portfolio basis, which again allows us to take a little bit more risk, and also working with metal users, car manufacturing companies, EV battery producers, in order to encourage them to co-finance or co-lend into mining companies because they are the ones who need certainty that there will be metal that they need. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Natalie. That's very helpful. Nicola, you are the second largest uranium manufacturer globally, yeah, and you're heavily involved in this country. Can you just give us a sense of what your perspective is on the industry here, the mining industry, your access to the industry, how it was easy or whatever it is, and any challenges and issues that you'd like to raise with our colleagues from the ministry?
First of all, yes, Orano is a French company specialized in nuclear cycle. So we are in Uzbekistan for now 5 years. So we settled down on end of 2019. And it's fair to say that since we have started, we have a very strong support from the ministry. I'd like today thank Azam Katironjai for the support of the ministry from day one until today. Actually, Uzbekistan is really a great country to work in. It's a mining company, so it have a huge and long experience in mining. And compared to other countries, it's quite easy to find the adequate skills to start a mining project. So you could find geologists on the market, you could find technical or operators on the market, and it really makes a new subsidiary for an international company to start more easily in a new country. And we can feel really a good dynamic since the last 5 years, and we have really motivated people working with the company, and young people so speaking English. So someone mentioned that people in Uzbekistan speak English. It's something that's you cannot find everywhere actually. So it's kind of easy to have a good communication with our employees and all those people. So it makes things very easy. To start a project, so we currently have a project in the Kizilkum Desert. So this is a uranium project, and we are currently at the feasibility stage, and we will be about to take the decision to mine by the end of this year. In the last four years, we actively drilled this project. Even if the COVID situation made things very difficult for a new company starting in a new country, actually, but we made it, and we are about to take this decision. And when talking about exploring, when talking about being at the feasibility stage, means as well to get data to get there. And actually in exploration, mining exploration and production as well, drilling is one of the key for exploration. And actually on this part, we at the start we actually all the good expertise was located in the state-owned companies, and the few private companies didn't really had this expertise. And progressively we can find those private companies coming into the market. But I say that they are starting from scratch, and especially in the specific projects we are working on, where we are drilling sands, it's quite difficult for those companies to catch up and be good at the first time. So for us, the drilling was quite of a challenge. So we started to hire those companies, and it takes months or it takes years to make them reach the right level of expertise. So it's very, very, very challenging. And as you know as well, Uzbekistan, they currently have very ambitious objectives to double the production of uranium and to double or increase any kind of production of metals in Uzbekistan, meaning there's a strong need of drilling activities and drilling rigs and drilling company to be able to reach such very high objectives. And what we can see today is because those state-owned companies want to reach their objectives, actually they try to attract those private companies, and they are some kind of taking over all those drilling companies, making even more difficult a company like us to be able to fully operate and be very efficient in the field. And one other point as well is that usually those new private companies, drilling companies, they usually apply very high prices. I mean, compared to the region, compared to Kazakhstan or other regions, the cost could be double in Uzbekistan compared to Kazakhstan. So the market has to establish, and it will take a few years to establish, but I'm quite sure that in the coming years Uzbekistan will be there, and we'll have good drilling opportunities in the market.
Yeah, thank you very much for that.
Il parle français aussi.
All right, thank you very much for that. So, Flanagan, so we have, you're a leading technology company and involved working with mining companies and introducing efficient technologies to improve efficiency in delivery. What has been your experience here, and what can you see that can be done differently to improve the standards to international standards and make this more competitive as a market?
Yeah, we at FL Smith, our focus is on the mineral processing part of the value chain. So after the ore gets dug up and put in the trucks or on conveyors, it then gets dumped into our technology, and we separate out the metals and the minerals. And it's an interesting process. It's more complicated than a lot of people outside the mining industry know, and it uses a lot of energy. In fact, the first process with these big rocks is we need to make these big rocks into little powder to separate out the minerals. And to do that, we have different types of crushing machines and milling and grinding machines. And actually that process of comminution or milling and grinding and crushing uses 3% of all the world's energy every day. And 3% may not sound like a very big percentage, but all the world's energy is a big number. So there's a lot of opportunity to make a big impact on reducing energy and greenhouse gases used to generate that energy by making that process more efficient. And we a few years ago, introduced a new technology called HPGRs, and these allow the milling circuit and the grinding circuit to operate with up to 30% less energy, which is a big deal. And we actually have some of our machines ready to start up at a local copper mine here, Al Malik, which is a world-class copper mine. And then after this rock is ground, we need to put water into it typically, in many of the processes. And so we have other technologies that now reduce the amount of water we need to separate out these metals and minerals from the rocks. So, a new technology that is just being prototyped right now allows us to separate these minerals and metals from the ore, but it allows it to do it without grinding or crushing the rock as far. So, you know, when that really starts to commercially start being out in the field more, what's that?
Will be your first customer.
Deal. Okay. Anyone else? But now I don't have to crush it as far, and when I do crush it and grind it, certainly I don't spend as much energy doing that. And then on the other end, a lot of this mining, and especially some of these critical metals like we see here with copper, and also potential lithium down the road in Uzbekistan, they're in water-stressed areas. So we've been working very hard and had some great success with some other technologies downstream where we're able to recover, you know, more than 95, in some cases 98% of the water that we have to use to separate out these minerals. So right now it's almost on new projects a no-brainer to use these technologies because, yeah, they reduce the energy, reduce the water, and save the planet, but they also pay for themselves in less than a year. And then the next wave we're starting to see now is to go back and look at the older existing technology out there and see where it makes sense to change that out to ones that have less power, less water, and less overall impact, and justify it by the money it saves. So it really is important to look at that technology and what it can do.
Thank you very much, Flanagan. That is really helpful. Yeah. So over to you, Emre. So you are a leading producer in industrial minerals based out of Turkey, yeah, and involved in the market. You're a relatively new entrant into this market. You've heard what some of your colleagues have experienced in the market. So have you utilized any expertise from international finance institutions to support you in this entry?
Okay. Let me give you some of our experience in Uzbekistan.
Okay.
Because we have one of the first comers here. We came with the invitation of Mr. President, end of 2008, early 2009. And he really encouraged us. And as I saw yesterday, he's still very passionate about the transformation of the country, and he's gonna do it. And we have really noticed that when he has invited us, he told us that he's going to transform the country to where all the foreign investors can come. So he's doing that right now, and this is very happy. We are very happy to see that. We have, first of all, we didn't have so much struggle, but one of the first challenges was by being the first comer. It took some time, of course, because we were like the company who is trying to set the frame of the agreements. So thanks to Mr. Azam, he also supported us a lot in this. And yesterday actually we signed our joint venture agreement with Al Malik to start mining exploration in Üç Kulaç mine in Cizak region which is a zinc and lead mine, which was operated by Al Malik in the past. But our expertise in Turkey is mainly underground for zinc and lead. And this is where we can contribute to this project, because we are operating one of the deepest mine in Turkey. Well, not one of the deepest mine in Turkey, 1,200 meters. So this is a mine where we can show our expertise. And as Peter said, there are a lot of new technologies are coming. And I believe that the country has a lot of rare earths other than the base metals and minor metals, which are critical for electrification, transformation of the electrification transformation, as well as EVs. And I believe that even though they are low grade, there is some new technologies which I have experienced before, such as HPL, high pressure autoclave leach, solvent extraction, ion exchange, where you can reuse resins. And that's also going to help to utilize the tailings. So which we, in my previous experience, we had a chance to utilize the tailings of the copper beneficiation plant by recovering the metals inside, as well as generating sulfuric acid out of sulfur. And this means that you can also generate electricity. And this is, then you can make the plant off-grid, like an island mode, floating on a sea without any problem, without any fuel. So this is what I call mining 4.0. And this is going to come because the circular economy is one of the main needs of the industry. In order to make things greener, okay, we will need the base, actually a greener future means sustainable mining. And in order to reach to sustainable mining, you have to deal with your tailings, and you have to consider the circular economy. And I believe that this is very important country, because we have heard from the energy minister of Saudi Arabia that they are going to invest $14 billion in the renewable energy industry of Uzbekistan, which is going to go up to 20 gigawatt. And by 2030, they are willing to increase the share of the green energy by 40%. So which is a very passionate, ambitious goal. But in case the day that this is going to happen, there will be really good potential to use renewable energy with the help of the lower electric consumption technologies. And I think we will, there is a lot of potential in this country. I believe in this country. We believe also in Central Asia, as we have been also exploring Kazakhstan. But Uzbekistan is a little different for us. As a Turkish company, we feel our roots are coming from here because our ancestors came from here. So maybe it's a little bit emotional approach, but I think it's also helping the investors, because the culture is important when you are investing in a country. So we have a very similar culture. Actually, there is no difference between us. We are from the same roots. So this is also helping us to consider more investment in this country. So far, I think, let me say any suggestions to new entrants? I mean, EBRD is here, IFC is here, and as I have understood from the speeches I had yesterday with your colleagues, they are also ambitious to invest in the mining industry of Uzbekistan, which is very important according to me. When you are coming with a business model that will support their expectations by means of ESG, or your expectations by means of ESG, I think that will contribute. I mean, you will be also contributing to development of this country as well as the global mining industry. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. And let's give a hand clap to our... So I don't think I'll do justice by summarizing all that you have said, but what I will just bucket it up and say is that, look, there is truly a partnership in the team that is looking to exploit the potential of mineral development in the country. We're ranging from the government putting in place a framework and also going to the extent of amending the laws in response to what the private sector has suggested, working with development finance institutions to support in building up junior mining capacity in the country, as well as helping with small, the small and medium-scale companies to bring them to international standards so that they can support the industry, introducing new technologies that are going to be very, very key in improving efficiencies. At 3% of energy consumption, that's quite significant. But also striving towards sustainable development of minerals, which is going to be very, very key towards meeting our own, the global goals and towards climate-friendly development of different industries. So thank you very, very much, and we appreciate and very happy to have had you stay on through this period. Everybody has been very efficient during this time, and we really need to thank our panelists, and thank you so much for taking time.